mom's house got broken into and she got robbed of everything. Why did that happen? It was because I posted a video in front of the door. What am I gonna wake up 50 one day and be like, hey, I posted dancing TikToks and made $1 million and didn't do anything with my life? Social media is probably one of the highest suicide rates in all working forces across the planet. Forget the fact that I got famous because of this. What's next?
Welcome to the Elevated Podcast, and I'm your host, Nikki Gathright, and we're here with Chase Demoor on our first ever episode. Today we'll be covering Chase's journey from being a professional football player to content creator to the #1 reality TV star on Netflix. We'll be diving deep into his mindset, background, rivalries, and the turning points in his career that elevated him to where he is today. Known for being the villain, he's transferred that energy to now becoming the Misfits heavyweight champion of the world.
100%.
Thank you guys for tuning into the podcast. One favor I'm going to ask that's absolutely free is if you like what we're doing, you like what we're talking about, click that subscribe button, give us a like, and my commitment to you is that we'll keep getting better guests, better content to help you keep elevating with us.
Crazy journey, man. Get to be here on the first ever Elevated podcast to talk about the journey of what it's like to be elevated.
If you guys don't know Chase, he's the world champion boxer right now. He's very inspirational to a lot of people out there, but also inspirational to me. He kind of inspired me to jump out of my shell and start this podcast because he's been doing so well.
Man, it's a journey, and that's what the best part about it is like, I think with Elevated Agency, like, it's just one big family here, and we're always just pushing each other to the next level. Obviously, being a boxer and working on TV becomes a multi-talented thing, but being multi-talented, it comes with an army of people, a team of people. So thankfully here at Elevate Agency, I have all the support I need to essentially be elevated and to reach that next level.
Well, I'm glad we could be that for you. We all like to work together here. And that kind of leads me into my first question from the audience is like, when did things get real? Like, when did it stop being such a hope and a dream? When did things start to get real where you can, be on Netflix, become a world champion? When did it start to really set in?
Yeah, it really started setting in when I was just working, my 9 to 5. I was working at Starbucks, opening up. I went to visit my friend after work one day in my college town. He was like doing a dance move on the TikTok. And I was like, what are you doing? He was like, oh, I think you should download this app. I think you'd be really good at it. And I was like, I'm never going to be a little TikToker. And so I started taking videos of myself making coffee for girls at the Starbucks. And I would just say something cheesy like, hey guys, make sure you say good morning to your girl before I do. Or hey, I'm starting your girl's day off. Just being cheesy because I didn't understand how social media or the app worked. And when I started doing that, I deleted the app. So I didn't see any notifications, but my phone was always buzzing, vibrating. And one day I woke up and I had all these followers on Instagram and TikTok and all these DMs saying, hey, do you want to come be on this TV show? Would you ever be interested in it? And I think at that point it became real because I was like, you mean to tell me that I can just film myself doing something I would do anyways, and thousands of people are going to watch me? And me being, a camera hog myself, I obviously enjoyed that part very much.
That's amazing. Like, was there a specific video or anything like where it was like just from this moment, boom? Or was it kind of a gradual
Yeah,
growth?
there was a couple really key videos, I would say. I was like, the first video I did, back when TikTok first came out, 100,000, 200,000 views, that was a lot because there wasn't that many people on the app. That'd be like inflation now, it would be like a 2-3 million viewed video. And I had a couple of those just making the coffees, and I became known as like the coffee guy. And then I did one with like weightlifting, and I had like all these gym bros following me. I said, I don't want to be a gym bro. So I immediately shifted my content to doing football related skit content, with the likes of my friends Destroying and Dockery, who were also really big YouTubers in the football community at the time. And one video in particular that blew up, it was all over ESPN, and I claim it as my claim to fame, was I snuck into a high school football practice one time and practiced with the team.
Wow, that's insane. We need to actually pull that up.
What's good, TikTok? Hey, we finna sneak into this high school football practice. Yeah, we look the same, right?
Yeah, we are gonna die. I'm feeling tight, and I'm
What about how many you're a ninth grader just coming out of middle school? Or
Yeah,
what?
I just got out the 8th grade. Thank you.
It's crazy that you say only 100,000 views. Like, that was a lot back then. I mean, to be fair, that's still a lot. And I think a lot of fans and people that want to be influencers or TikTokers don't really realize. If you think about how many people 100 people is versus 1,000 versus 100,000, like Crypto Arena doesn't even fit 100,000 people.
Yeah.
SoFi Stadium only has like 70,000 people.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. But in terms of retention rate, I think everything's a bit different because yes, you're 100% correct in like 100 people, 1,000 people, a million people. That's a lot of eyes on that. I'm particularly talking about when you go to crypto arena, you have 100,000 people there. It doesn't fit 100,000, just say hypothetically,
like
30,000 people there. But they're all there to watch something very specific. They're there for the event. Whereas, sometimes with social media, sometimes people will count a view as like they watched it for 3 seconds and they scroll past it and this and that. So there is some number inflation in there. But in terms of what I mean is back when nobody has this app, when it was brand new, right at the start of COVID, 200,000 people was the majority of the app. So, if you took that same video and got the same percentage of viewers on a video in today's time, you're looking at, a 3-4 million viewed video, which is insane.
Yeah.
Which comprehend back then, that was insane to have 100,000, 200,000 views.
Exactly. That makes a lot of sense. But for all you guys out there, don't get discouraged if you only have 100,000 views, because that is a lot of people.
100%. And everybody has to start somewhere. Every of your favorite YouTubers at one point only had 2 or 3 viewers. So remember that.
Exactly. Going into that, who kind of showed you the way? Like, was there a mentor? Was there a person that kind of showed you how to be this great in social media, in boxing, in Netflix?
Yeah, I had a lot of good mentors. I say a lot, but there's really I would say there's probably 2 people that I really credit the social media fame to. One of them, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm gonna give him his flowers in just a second. But let me talk about the first one. The first one, his name is Dockery, Ramel Dockery. He was a very famous YouTuber. Turned TikToker, and he kind of is the one that took me under his wing a little bit, and he was like, look, you can get these nice cars and this nice house and have all this money and all this fame, and all you're having to do is post videos. And looking back on it now, I don't know if he really got that many views, but at the time when I was working at Starbucks making $7-8 an hour, and he was getting brand deals for $50,000-$60,000 at a time and living in his own apartment and driving a sports car, I was like, I want that life. So then I started working, and he would be in my videos and he would help me, and I gradually got closer and closer and closer. And then, once I got on TV, this other person that really introduced me to people, it taught me about who you know and how to act a certain way in order to get engagement. And his name is Harry Jowsey. As much as I hate to admit it, I did learn a lot from him. And he understands the game really well, to the point where, I spent a lot of time with him and really got to understand, the TV game and the social media game and the networking game. And it really played dividends in my career. That's
amazing. I know you guys have had some beef in the past. Obviously, I'm friends with you both. But do you think you ever would rekindle that?
It's never I think it's not like a hateful beef. It's just I think we're just two different people. It's not something I would say is I hate the guy. I hope he burns in hell. I would never say that. I think he's a really great guy. I just think that him and we have 2 different views on life and 2 different aspects on how things get handled. And I think that, maybe one day down the road we could rekindle and be friends. But I think as of right now, we're very polar opposites in what we do. Or maybe we're just very similar and it just doesn't work. Who knows?
Sometimes there's not a lot of room for 2 alphas in the room.
Yeah, that's what it is. You can't have 2 lions in the same den.
That's true. Well, I hope you guys rekindle that, because I am friends with both of you. And I think both of you get a little bitter when I hang out with the other one. Like, hey, what are you doing?
Wait, what the fuck is this?
But going into, obviously you have tons of success right now. Is there a moment where you almost broke? Like you almost shut it off and thought you had no more?
Yeah, there's a few moments that you have in your career when you really get like that, because I'll tell anybody out there, social media is one of the most dangerous, mentally taxing games you can play, because it's a numbers game that you can't really control. And I'll tell you that social media has probably one of the highest suicide rates in all working forces across the planet, because you start looking at people not for who they are, but as just another number, another another comment. And I think it could be really damaging, because it separates you in society at times. It becomes like a clout farm. It becomes, you can't go to this event because you're not popular enough, or you can't, be involved in this situation because you don't have enough followers. And I've seen that, and it's really sad, because some of my best friends don't even have a platform, and some of my best friends do have platforms, and that doesn't change who they are at the end of the day. And, to answer your question, my breaking point was, you wake up one day and you realize, what does my future have for me? A lot of people will give back to society, whether it's sports, whether it's being a doctor, whether it's being a philosopher. You know, what am I going to wake up 50 one day and be like, hey, I posted dancing TikToks and made $1 million and didn't do anything with my life? You know, that I've had a few days where I've woken up and like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I tell anybody, Nikki, and the most real shit I could tell you is sometimes, you know, you just wish that you could keep the money aspect rather than the fame aspect, because there's going to be situations where the benefit is like you could go meet somebody when you're not famous and you have an opportunity to make them like you for who you are and build who you want to be around that person. Whereas when you're famous, you don't get that luxury. They're already going to have a preconceived idea of who you are, and it could be miserable. It could fuck up job opportunities. It could fuck up relationships. It could fuck up friendships, all because they saw a video or they saw a like or a comment, you know?
That makes a lot of sense. Was there a specific time you can remember? Like, walk us through that first time that you think, like, you were like, I'm done. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen.
Yeah, I would say the first time, you know, it was probably the first Christmas after I did Too Out to Handle. My mom's house got broken into and she got robbed of everything. Why did that happen? It was because I posted a video in front of the door dancing, and people saw my mom's address. They understood my schedule. They saw where I was at, and they waited for me to leave town, and they went over there and they stole everything out of my mom's house. And it was just really sad because I felt so powerless because, you know, what am I going to do? Am I going to go back and try to, you know, rebuy her everything? No, because now I'm putting my own family, my own blood at risk because I'm posting videos. And it's like, I don't really have a choice, because it's like, I don't have a real job. You know, my job is social media. So I sacrifice a lot of my social life to develop content. And like, that was such a breaking point because, you know, my mom, she was really scared. She was sad, and she can't even sleep in her own house. And mind you, she lives in North Carolina. I'm living in LA. You know, anybody who knows the United States, that's, you know, 2,000 miles in between us. And it's not like I can just hop in the car and, you know, go get her. And I think it can be very dangerous because, you know, you look at even famous rappers that are getting killed because their locations are getting leaked on Snapchat, on Instagram stories. And, you know, that was a breaking point for me because I was like, is this something that I'm willing to deal with for the rest of my life?
How did you work past that?
You know, you have to remember at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do. There's no going back. Once you get involved in TV and social media, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're friendships, whether you're your family, your kids, people are always going to have an opinion on what it is that you do, whether you decide to stop posting ever again or not, because people are always going to recognize you for a certain thing. And when you have a million opinions inside such a small circle, it starts affecting everybody's mentals. So to get over it, you have to realize there's no stopping it, there's no changing it, so you need to learn to embrace it.
Everything has risks.
Everything has risks.
That was kind of telling us the story of where Chase came from. Like, what would you say, how would you describe this version of you today? Like, where are we at now? Where is Chase's mind now?
Yeah, I got a birthday coming up, so I'm going to be ancient. Still not 30, but we're knocking on the door. But, you know, I think Chase is at a point right now where it's like, you know, we're past the initial hype train of when you become famous, it could be very dangerous because you get access to so many different things, drugs, alcohol, women, and it can be very taxing if you don't know how to handle it. And I think I got past the immaturity aspect of that, and I buckled down in LA, and I worked really hard to network, and I worked really hard to build my own brand. And obviously I'm continuing my career as a professional fighter now. And I think that the version I am now is like a mature and understanding version that, you know, everything comes with risk, everything comes with emotional turmoil. It's a job at the end of the day. And so I think the maturity level that I have now is more of an understanding of that. And so now, rather than rely on those TikTok dances to build my career, I'm doing a multitude of things: podcasts, boxing, other shows, full-time acting. I just filmed my first movie to really put a staple in my life, saying at this point in my life, I worked so hard. So when I'm in my late 30s, 40s, 50s, it's like I have something I can show my kids and say, this is what I did, you know?
That makes a lot of sense. Is there anything that people have misunderstood about you?
Yeah, there's lots of people misunderstand. I think that people think that before they meet me, they take me at face value and they go like, oh, this guy's got to be the biggest prick in the world. Like, based off of his TV resume and based off of what he posts on his TikToks and Snapchats, it's like, this guy's got to be such a self-loathing idiot. Like, doesn't know anything. But, you know, a lot of people don't know. You know, I have a degree in neuroscience. I treat everybody with the utmost respect, and the version that you see of me online is not who I am. That is a character. That is an enhanced version of somebody that gets people to look. You ever heard about the purple cow theory? You know that, obviously.
The purple cow? No, I haven't heard that one.
So think about about if you drive in your car past a farm every day and you see cows, you're like, okay, and somebody asks you, did you see anything special today? You'd say no, right? But say you drive past the farm and you see a purple cow and somebody says, did you see anything today? What would you say?
The purple cow.
Yeah, but it's just a cow. It's just purple. It's just a little bit different, right? That's what I look at my social media career as. Is like I'm not any different than any other creator on there. I just found a way to get people to look at me a little bit more as the purple cow.
Love that. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I've seen you grow throughout your career. I mean, obviously, we've been working together since right before your career truly took off.
Crazy.
So I've seen it. I'm really proud of you, and
Thanks, brother.
I think a lot of people don't really realize what it takes to be a man in this industry. Like you were saying, like you're young. I've had this similar journey of being young, coming up to success really fast. Like obviously similar upbringings in the sense we didn't really have much growing up, and then to all of a sudden now you have money, fame, the lifestyle of LA, girls are getting thrown at you, things like that. Like what do you think is the biggest thing that you had to get rid of?
Yeah, that's a tough question right there. Yeah, obviously you've been with me since the beginning of this thing, and if I explained to people what it takes to even get there, people would be like, yeah, right, dude, you got lucky. If I had to draw a map of how I got to 4 million followers across platforms and to get to that level of fame and money, I would say to you guys don't understand that every reality TV show that comes out, I sit there and I watch that from start to finish 2 or 3 times. It's like in sports when we watch film. Like I study the characters, I study the mannerisms, I study the people posting about it, opinions, I study, brand deals, I study my podcast, I'm thousands of hours of footage understanding what makes good talking points. Speech classes, part of my demographic lives in Europe, in Spain. I learned another language. People don't understand. Yeah. They think you just post a video and the video is what makes you famous. No, like I had to find ways to relate to people that aren't even in my culture in a language I don't even speak. You know what I mean? And if I had to say, the answer to your question is, you asked like,
what did you have to get rid of? Like what is something you had to get rid of to be where you are today?
And that's exactly it. You have to get rid of the mindset that it's just going to be one video, one show, one thing that's going to set you off. That is what you have to get rid of. You have to get rid of the mindset that if I post this same thing every single day, eventually it's going to hit and eventually I'm going to be a superstar. You have to get rid of that mindset entirely, because look at everything like a stepping stool. Netflix was a step for me. And a lot of people who go on Netflix, like they'll get up there and they're like, oh, this is a great step. It is a great step. If everybody's down here and you step one up above everybody, and mind you, the next step is like, these famous people, you're like, wow, there's only 10 people up there, but there's 1 million people down here. I'm in a good spot. I don't want to work hard anymore. That's what you got to get rid of, because now it's like, how do you get to the next step? Okay, I could have died on the hill of a cockroach flying on my face and 2 out the handle. To this day, I could die on the hill. That was 5 years ago, Nick.
Yeah.
I looked at it like, okay, well now how am I going to build social media? I needed to build, I brought in a team of people. I brought you, I brought, Zay, I brought Gab, I brought all these people who have done other things. You run companies, and Zay is a very good networker, and Gabrielle has been a YouTuber since she was fucking 10. I bring people in who have different perspectives on how things operate, and you learn from them. That's what you have to know. You have to learn from things. And you learn that being relatable will take you so much farther than I posted a meme video that got 10 million views and now I have 1,000 followers that mean nothing. Nobody's invested in you because you have followers. That is just a number. The likes are just a number. Your name and your brand and your longevity, that lasts so much longer. I know people that have 26 million on Instagram. They can walk down the fucking street. And I know people that have 10,000 on Instagram and can walk down the street and get 1 million photos out of them. Yeah. It's not the same. And I think it goes back to your work ethic. It goes back to understanding I need to forget the fact that I got famous because of this. What's next?
Exactly. I like that. Getting rid of the mindset that one thing is going to take you to forever. Like it's just one step at a time.
And you know this more than anybody, that social media is a game of adaptation. You send me content plans and you send me trends and you said, this is what we're doing now. Ashton Hall, he has such a unique and diverse thing where he's dunking his face in the water with fucking vegetables and shit in it. Nobody was doing that 2 years ago, but just like nobody 2 years from now is going to be doing that.
Exactly.
It's the next thing, adapting to the trend.
Not getting complacent.
Not getting complacent. Complacency will kill you.
Is there any boundaries or non-negotiables that you have today? Like something that you're definitely not going to do? Any boundaries?
Yeah, I think when everybody's going to have different boundaries. And I think that important to understand that once you set that standard, just like we come from football, when you have a standard, something, that's the standard. And just because somebody else's standard might not be good enough for you. And the boundaries that I draw a line on as like anything that has to do with like a multitude of kids, like say like they needed a boxing camp or they needed a football camp. I'm not going to go to that company and I'm not going to be like, hey, I need $1 million, otherwise fuck them kids. I would never do that because I understand. When I was a little kid, I wish that I had an opportunity to go meet famous people. My family didn't have money. We couldn't afford to pay these prestigious camps to go meet, Cam Newton and the rest of it. We couldn't afford that. And I wish somebody would be like, it's not about the money, it's about legacy and it's about the impact. And so like I would say like, anything to do with kids, and you've probably heard me say this before, is like, I'll do it. Like whatever it is, if they want to pay me $500, $0, $10,000, I'll do it. But like make it make sense. Like make it so there's a majority of people benefit from this. That's one non-negotiable. I don't ever talk about sexual orientation online. I think that could be very construed. Everybody's gonna have their own opinions. I try to stay away from politics. It gets difficult times just because in the United States we really have 2 elected officials you can pick. So if you're not preaching for one, people assume you're preaching for the other. So you're kind of like your hands are tied there.
Outside of content, is there any non-negotiables in your lifestyle?
Yeah, of course. I think
like for me, I think a big turning point, like, I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit there. You get a lot of things thrown at you in this world, especially in the LA world, coming up in fame, success, and things like that. And you don't really get a lot of opportunities to be in where we are now.
Yeah.
And obviously, the fun, the girls, the partying, everything gets thrown at you. And like one of my non-negotiables I came to over the last couple of years was like, I no longer drink.
That's smart. Yeah.
I haven't drank in 2 years, and I was just really realizing that every time I was not my best self was when I was drinking. Every time I had issues was when I was drinking. Thankfully, nothing crazy ever happened, but it just set me up to be not it as my best self. Yeah. So whenever there was a time where I was not at my best self, I just didn't feel good about it. So that now is my non-negotiable and boundary, is like I'm always going to show up and be presented as my best self. And like you've kind of seen it, been able to start more companies over the last couple of years. I have a great group of friends that I can lean on that isn't just surface level, because the partying and things like that created a lot of friends that I truly didn't even know. We were just partying together and kind of like getting lit. It was very surface level. So that was like a boundary and a non-negotiable that I just created. Is there anything with you?
Yeah, like I've never done a drug in my life, so I would say it's similar with like drugs. Alcohol, like I'm not really a big drinker anyways. Like I'm sure you could probably count on one hand.
Yeah.
You've never seen me drink.
I don't actually ever seen you drink, really.
Yeah, like I'm not a big drinker. And I think that it all comes from us having like a sports background as well. I think like once you can go down that rabbit hole, it can be dark down there. And I think that you've done a great job yourself avoiding all of that. And I could definitely tell the difference between, you're doing that. Yeah, you were super successful. You're still super successful. And now I feel like you become so much more focused on, building out things. We're filming, so much for the agency, and we're pushing talent so hard, and we're running this great podcast. I think that all that stems from you shifted the focus from always wanting to get drunk and lit at a party to let's grow my company more. And I think
let's have more intent with what we're doing. So let's say Chase Demoor is at a 7 in his career right now. What does it take to get him to a 10?
I think that we're on the path to get there. I think to get there, we need a couple really big fights. With some bigger names. I think in terms of the boxing career, we need some really good, we're just coming off a really big knockout. We need a couple more of those. I think that's the first step. The second step is, we just filmed a movie. I would like to get, into filming at least 2 more movies, because those take time to come out. Once those come out, it kind of moves you up a step. And I think that having another couple big moments on reality TV, I could be happy if I got 1 more. I know I've gotten more than anybody, but I think that 1 more just like farewell tour in terms of like reality TV would be huge for me, because it kind of helps me finish the race essentially. So those are the big 3.
And then what's the next step after reality TV? Because I know know you've been working on some movies now.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I always said, I was like, yeah, just go full-time acting. When I was a kid, you asked me, are you going to be an actor? I'd be like, hell no, bro. You think I'm going to memorize it? But I think, yeah, just one more farewell tour to the reality TV and say, I'm going to leave it to them 20-year-olds now. I got a little bit, it's like 2 years before I get to 30, but I'd like to be done with reality TV in my 30s. So I did it in my 20s. Now we're shifting our focus to...
They're having fun.
He said, the fuck's his problem?
You got it, bud.
I'd like to shift the focus entirely from reality TV in my 30s and focus entirely on just making movies, because boxing's not even going to be around forever. The only longevity I have in that is the movie career, because you can do that forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, definitely they need actors of all ages, all styles, and especially you're getting way older now.
Thanks for the reminder.
Birthday's coming up.
I know, fucking hell, 28 this year. Jesus Christ.
As you're growing, sometimes there's bad habits that you have to unlearn to be your best self. Is there anything right now that you're unlearning that you want to get rid of? Any habits?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing a lot of people suffer with is that FOMO. I think FOMO is and they say it, Muhammad Ali said this in boxing. It was never about dodging the punches. It's about dodging the nightclubs and dodging the girls and dodging the drugs. That's what the dodging comes from. And when you have FOMO, especially us in our 20s, similar to when you get dumped with all this fame and all these friends and all these connections, like, yeah, am I thankful I got to sit on a PJ and go to 2 back-to-back Super Bowls? Fuck yeah, I'll do that every year. I can't dodge that punch. But it's like, when you're every weekend like, hey, there's an event tonight or there's a party tonight, you have to know when to say, is this FOMO setting in, or do I really need to be at this thing? Because FOMO will be your biggest downfall. You should probably be in bed sleeping. You think you woke up and you looked in the mirror and you're not happy with your body? Let me tell you what cortisol is. That comes from stress. That comes from lack of sleep. That comes from shitty diets and alcohol. Oh, I'm going to the gym every day. Yeah, but you're going to a party every night too. You're not sleeping. Yeah. You're stressing yourself out. Once you dodge the FOMO, once you realize that it doesn't matter where you are in the world, and I've been all over this damn planet, a party is going to be the same tonight in LA as it's going to be in fucking Mykonos. Yeah. It's going to be some playing, people dance around and drunk on tequila. You're not missing shit, right? That's the thing.
I agree. I think FOMO is one of the biggest things. One of the things that kind of helped me get past the FOMO was thinking about, and then what? Yeah. Like, if you go to this party, and then what? Even if you get the girl you wanted or whoever, and then what? Like, even helped me with my decision making on who I want to date, where do I want to go? Because I'm like, even if this is quote unquote one of the baddest chicks, if I do go to this party and hook up with her, and then what? Like, is this somebody I truly want to spend the rest of my life with? Or, so that, and then what?
Congrats, bro. You made it to the party. You got drunk. You're going to have a hangover now. You did some drugs. You're probably short in your life. You fucked that girl. You forgot about her the next day. And now you're on to the next one. What did you gain from that?
Exactly.
Did you meet anybody? No. Did you make money? Yeah. No. Did it make you look better? No. Did it bring success to your life? No. Okay, so then go to sleep.
Exactly. Going back into your legacy, like in 10 years, what do you want people to say about Chase Demoor? What is your legacy that you leave behind?
In 10 years, I want people to say that he was somebody that took every opportunity that he was given and he ran with it. I want people to say, 10 years ago, I was working in Starbucks, Nick. I was in college, I was in high school, college. Not that old. I was in high school and didn't even really have a job and didn't have a girlfriend. And I think that 10 years ago, I was saying like, oh, in 10 years, I'm going to be super successful. And I made it. And I would like to say in the next 10 years, it's the same level of jump at the level I'm at, like the same percentage difference. If I had like 100% increase from then, I want another 100%. And I want to look back and be like, I'm having my kids and I'm saying like, well, shit, like I didn't die on the hill of a cockroach flying on my face and 2 out the handle. I didn't die on the hill that I got a spectacular knockout against a 35-year-old. I want to die on the hill that I continued to find ways to be successful.
I love that. And I know we talked about that one time where you almost broke. There's probably a lot of people listening right now that are at that point where they don't know if they should continue down this path. What would you want to tell that person that's listening right now?
I'll tell people out there, like, don't ever give up. Don't ever quit on what you think your goals should be. And I know it sounds super cliche and people say it all the time, but I'm going to be the first one to tell everybody out there, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Because without even going too deep into like the shit that I've dealt with in my life, I would say like I was probably very dead last place to make anything happen. And I think that if I could find a way to do it, then everybody who's listening out there, no matter which hardship, trial, situation, or circumstance you are going through right now, do something that you are proud of and that you love without being emotionally attached to the end result. Because if it doesn't work out for you, I don't want you to look at it and be like, I did all that for nothing. You did it for yourself. So that's my advice.
I love that about not getting attached to the end result, because truly the journey is where you spend most of your time. So if you don't love that journey, you're not going to love it.
Exactly. Because if you got there, it kind of goes back to what you said. And then what?
Yeah, exactly.
Now what? Enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey. Is there anything we should look forward to from Chase in the near future?
Yeah, obviously we got a big fight coming up on pay-per-view at the end of the summer, and we have a movie coming out this Halloween season, my first ever movie. Sheesh. And yeah, I'll be very excited for those two really big career changes. So
that's amazing. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You guys can find me across all platforms. You guys can find me on the Elevate Agency Instagram page, and you guys can find me in your girls' DMs.
Yeah, you are on the Elevate Instagram page. And then a lot of girls DMs. A lot of girls DMs. Because they started them.
They started them. Exactly. I just finished.
But always a pleasure having you here.
Yeah,
I mean, you're an inspiration to a lot of people out there, an inspiration to me, and I'm happy to have you as our number one first guest on the Elevate podcast.
Number one podcast. Number two behind mine.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Elevated podcast. It's something I really wanted to do for many, many years, and it warms my heart that you're one of our early supporters. One way you can continue to support is like, subscribe, comment, help us keep bringing you better guests, better value, and I can't wait to keep this journey going with you guys.